Good morning, everyone. It's been a minute. I have a microphone on because I wanted to make sure you heard me. It's 5 a.m. in the morning, so I'm trying not to be too loud to wake everyone up. I'm in basically the baby's room, and nobody's in here, so I felt like maybe I could use a microphone to be a little bit quiet, but you guys could still hear me. So my name is Susanna, and I have been off of YouTube for 2 years. December 2023 was the last time that I made a video. It wasn't planned. My leaving wasn't planned, and if I could have helped it, I wouldn't have left. Sorry, I have a very needy golden. So I thought I would come back because I promised you guys, and I remembered that promise the entire time I was gone. I promised you guys that I would never just disappear on you, because I know that YouTubers sometimes do that and they don't tell you why, and then you're always left wondering, like, what happened? And if so much of this wasn't out of my control, I wouldn't have even left for 2 years, but a lot of it was out of my control. So let's start at the beginning. December, I was doing Vlogmas in 2023. I've been doing YouTube since 2015, and I do Vlogmas every year. So in December 2023, I went to church with my foster baby, and on my way home, when I turned off of one of the main roads into a side road, which I live off of, I get to go straight. I just turn off the main road and I go straight. There is a road that runs across the road that I go on, and there's 2 stop signs on either side, so that the people getting off the main road just get to go straight, which is where I was. Oh, touching my mic. And there was somebody at the stop sign, but from what I remember, when I glanced over, she was looking down. I did not see a phone, but it looked like she was on a phone the way she was looking down. And as I was going straight, she hit her gas and T-boned me and pushed my car almost into the ditch. Like, it went pretty far. And without trying to go into so many details and make this super long, my car was totaled. I hopped out and I immediately went to check on the baby. I couldn't get the door open, so I went around to the other side, and baby was fine, snug in the car seat. We did call, she called, I think 911. I'm not sure of all that, but we did go to the ER, and just to get checked. At the time, I was thinking everyone was fine. It wasn't a huge accident. And if I didn't have my foster baby, I wouldn't have went to the ER. I know that. I would have just went on saying everything's okay. But when you have a foster child, if there's an accident, one of the rules for our state is that the doctor has to just check them out and say they're okay after an accident. Like, you're responsible as a foster parent to have a doctor clear them. This is really hard talking. I don't normally talk this much and my voice is already straining. So we went to the ER, and I was vlogging that day, but I hadn't really vlogged too much because I went to church and I was on my way home, and I was going to do stuff in the afternoon to vlog, but I maybe had started the morning off. I don't really remember. But in the hospital, I told them I was fine. I did have some neck pain, but I said I was fine. I just wanted to make sure the baby was okay. And baby was eating, the baby was doing all the baby things. And so the doctor cleared her. As I was signing out, I realized when I looked at the paper, everything was like doubled. I couldn't focus on the paper. I couldn't read. I could see that there were lines and there were words, but there was something wrong where I couldn't make my eyes focus and read the paper. And then as we're about to leave, all of a sudden, I couldn't keep my eyes open. My eyes started closing, and my husband was able to get me out to the car. He was carrying the baby. And in the car, I could not open my eyes. I was so fatigued. And this was around, it happened right after church. So all afternoon, basically in the ER. And then getting home, by the time we got home, I just remember going to bed really early. I think I closed the vlog in bed, and I just said we were in an accident. I was having trouble opening my eyes, and I fell asleep around 5 p.m. I slept all night. I didn't wake up until the next morning, and I had, I don't remember everything, but I remember the doctor saying the next 3 days I might be in a lot of pain. So I did send an email to my boss, or a text message. I think I might have texted, doesn't matter. But I contacted my boss because I was working full time and as an accountant, and just said, I need to take Monday off. I was involved in an accident. So I wasn't able to get into the doctor until Tuesday, my main doctor. And so I asked for Tuesday off because when I woke up that Monday, I had slept so much, and then I was in the middle of Vlogmas, so I get my phone and I raise it up to start videoing a clip, kind of like here, like you would just kind of like raise your hand up to get yourself in the shot. And the weird thing is I couldn't lift my eye.
Hi guys, I don't really feel like vlogging today. I'm in a bit of pain, but I can open an advent calendar, so let's do that.
Like I could look down, but I couldn't. It was like trying to look up, like my eyes were fluttering, and I couldn't lift them up to look in the video. And I was like, that's really weird. So the ER had told me to follow up with my doctor. So I followed up with my doctor. I think I got in on a Tuesday. They got me in. And at that point, the light sensitivity had kicked in. And I honestly didn't know what was going on. I was just thinking that maybe something had happened with my brain. I didn't know. At the ER, they said that I might be having a concussion. So I just went to follow up with my doctor. But at that point, 2 days later, I was struggling. I was struggling to keep my eyes open. I couldn't look at screens. I couldn't read. I had to wear sunglasses. All lights were too bright. And I'm sure there was a number of different things, but it's hard for me to remember in detail 2 years ago, especially because what ended up happening was I was diagnosed with a concussion, which is okay. Concussions, people get those all the time, not a big deal, right? But then it wasn't clearing up. I kept having to ask for more days off. I could not look at a computer, and I was struggling to read. The lines were doubled, and it was hard to focus, and I was having to fill out like paperwork and stuff for car insurance on her side and on my side. And her car insurance company kept calling me and just trying to be like, hey, we'll pay for the ER visit, and here, we'll give you this, and we'll close the case. And I was like, but I'm not better yet. I'm not back at work yet. I can't close anything. I don't even know what's wrong with me. But they kept trying, and they kept calling me, and I was in an emotional state from the concussion where my emotions were not, I wasn't able to regulate them. So I would start bawling on the phone, and he kept sending me paperwork, and I was trying so hard to see and to fill out this paperwork. It was very difficult. And so that went on. I ended up being referred to a neurologist. And when I went to the neurologist, they were so great. They didn't turn on the lights. I was wearing sunglasses. They didn't turn on the lights. And at this point, I sometimes was having trouble speaking. I developed a stutter, and my eyes did not want to stay open. I had to close them a lot. And there were other symptoms, but as I said, this was a long time ago. So the neurologist said, you're going to need some time to heal. So I put in at work. I was going to need time off. That was really, really hard. But my work was great and supportive. And I just was going to the neurologist. And so that went on for 3 months. And I wasn't getting better. I couldn't walk through a grocery store. It was too much. I don't know what to call it. They have a word for it. Basically, too much information is coming into the brain and the brain gets overwhelmed. And so the lights, the sounds, the movement of people, it was so overwhelming. I couldn't go in a grocery store. I spent most of my time just at home, and I couldn't look at screens. If somebody showed me like a screen, but then they moved the mouse, it would make me so nauseous. It was terrible. I couldn't read. I love to read. I wasn't able to like make my eyes focus on the books. And I usually listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I was not able to process that. I wasn't able, it was too much. Anything that was overstimulating for my brain, I couldn't do anymore. So I spent a lot of time just sitting on the couch. And it was very difficult because I felt like if there were multiple people talking, or if there was the TV on and someone was talking, I would get very overwhelmed. And it was because my brain, what happens when you have a brain injury is throughout your life, starting as a child, you start to build up these pretty much, I don't know the word, I struggle sometimes still for words, but barriers basically, and you develop them as a small child where you can block out the TV and you can still talk to somebody. And that's normal. That is developed all throughout your life. When you have a brain injury, all of those things that you've developed to help your brain are destroyed. They're taken away. And all of a sudden, everything's coming in at 100% and your brain doesn't know what to focus on. And basically, you have to retrain your brain. But here's the thing. I didn't know that. I was just seeing my primary doctor and the neurologist, and they were just telling me, you need time. There's nothing you can do. You just need time. 3 months into this, I wasn't working. I wasn't able to work. I wasn't able to, my eyes wouldn't focus. I told them, I said, I need some kind of help. There's got to be something that I can do to try to make this better. And they're like, you're just going to need time. But finally, the neurologist referred me to physical therapy. I got started on speech therapy because I was having trouble speaking. I did vestibular therapy, cognitive therapy, and then some physical therapy, because what ended up happening is it started out as a concussion, but it was elevated to a traumatic brain injury. And after the accident, trying to go back and dig through information. Sometimes my brain's like tired. After the accident, I started falling a lot. I would just be walking, and sometimes I'd end up on the ground and there was no warning. I would be walking up the stairs and I would fall down. And I was in immense physical pain after the accident. However, because my brain was so messed up compared to what I would normally was used to, I didn't even focus on the physical pain I was in because I just felt like there was something so wrong with my brain. I couldn't even do anything beyond focus on that. Okay, Butter, you're clawing my arm up. So I was talking about physical pain. Physical pain. So I was staying at home at the time because I couldn't do a lot. I couldn't go anywhere because it was too much for my brain. I would have to, what was I talking about? Oh, the physical pain. I was falling. Oh, I would have to time when I went upstairs because the right leg was on the gas as I had turned onto the road, and there's a hill, so I had to go up a hill, and I was on the gas when I was driving. That right leg started hurting from my hip to my ankle, and it hurt so bad I could barely climb the stairs. So I would try to narrow it down where I only had to climb the stairs once a day because of the pain was so great. So 3 months after the accident, I was able to start all these different kinds of physical therapies. And when the physical therapist got me, they were just taken back that I hadn't been in or sent to physical therapy before, because they said I was frozen in fight or flight. I was so frozen. I could barely speak. I couldn't handle any light. I couldn't handle any sounds. What they would have to do is take me to a dark room, and they would have me close my eyes, and they would have me lay down, and they would start like a neck massage. And then from there, in a dark room, they would just slowly have me turn my head from side to side. And that's how I started out. Because of the brain injury, I wasn't able to move my head quickly back and forth. I wasn't able to track things with my eyes, etc., etc. So this is getting long. I just wanted to give you guys an idea. There's so much more to the story, but I think I'm going to have to make a part 2 because I don't want to overwhelm you guys. And I wanted to say that I'm sorry for disappearing. It was not anything I had ever thought would happen. And I was so struggling. I couldn't even speak. Like, I was stuttering so bad, and I couldn't look at the camera. I couldn't do lights. I wouldn't have been able to edit the videos. So my whole life stopped. But I will end it here, and I will pick up on the second part. But the news is that it's been 2 years, and I'm going to try to do Vlogmas this year. I'm trying to do a little comeback. It wasn't even planned. Yesterday I asked my husband, I was like, should I do Vlogmas? And he was very supportive because he knew how much I loved having a hobby that was just mine and making videos. It was fun, and a big part of why I do this is for my mom. She's not able to get around as much. She's 80, and I don't get to share my life with her every day. And I know she loves just seeing the small parts of my life. And so I want to maintain that connection. You get to see your parents here and there, but she doesn't get to come over to my house. So I get to show her my house and things like that with the video. So it was our way of, her way of being able to see even more of my life, which I love my parents so much. I love them so much. I just want to stay super connected. And making videos was one of my ways of doing that. So I spoke with my husband last night, and he was super supportive, and I think I'm going to try to do Vlogmas. We'll see what happens. I'm nervous, but I thought I would start off by making a video and giving you guys a quick update, but there will be more. So I will see you guys later. Bye, guys.